In this video, I show you how to remove the box from these Peco points without compromising any rigidity. Hi everybody and welcome back to Newton Grove, and as I've promised, I'm going to show you how to remove this box from the center of your Peco O gauge points. Now, Peco O gauge points are fantastic. They're wonderful. They come in left hand, right hand. I think you get a Y point as well. There's a crossover and of course the double slip. Sadly, Peco don't make a single slip. Peco, seriously, lift your game. We'd love to have one. But the Y point, the left hand and the right hand do come with this box in the middle. And whilst it's not so bad, you can take the center part off and you can fit one of their accessories in there. It lacks in a lot of realism. One of the things that I quite strive for with O gauge, especially with my steam shed layouts, is more realism. Now when it came to Newton Grove, I didn't take these boxes off, and in hindsight I really wish that I had, because I look at them and it doesn't look bad as such, but at the same time no yard that I've ever seen at all, especially loco depots, has anything like this in the track. So what we're going to do is we're going to convert them from this into this, and you can see here, I mean, I'm still building this one, but the box is completely gone. And it's not that hard actually. You just need a few very simple tools. It probably takes about maybe half an hour to do each of these, but it's well worth the result, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. To begin with, you're going to need a few basic tools. You'll need a pair of cutters. You'll need a handy craft saw, such as the one from Tamiya. You'll also need a sharp modelling knife and some different plastic hard bits and pieces as well, or some spare sleepers from Flexible O gauge track. Now this might sound daunting, but it's actually quite easy and very straightforward, so let's dive right into this. So to start with, what we need to do is we need to supply power to all the rails. Now one of the things I always do is I work out where my point's going to go, and I always go black to the back. So black wire to the back, and I always use red to the front. Black and red is a very standard colour for wiring. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take out the webbing from over here just before the frog. Take it out so we leave some of these rails exposed. And once you have cut your wire to length and you've stripped the wire and you've exposed the wires, we're going to tin those wires. We're also going to add some flux and some tinning onto our rails, and then we're going to solder the wires to the rails. But before we do that, what we're going to do is we're going to cut out some notches here from the sleepers so that we can actually feed the wires underneath. Now you don't need to do this as such. You can just literally loop them either side of the sleepers, but I find that if you just cut a little bit of the sleeper away, you can hide the wire under the sleeper recess, and once it's on the board and covered with ballast, you will not see it at all. The other reason why I also wire to the underside of the rail is for the same reason. Once it's on the track, once it's on the board and ballasted, you don't see any wire. You do see a lot of modelers adding wire to the sides, but the thing is, even if you try to disguise it, you can still see the wire somewhere. So I always solder the wires to the very bottom of the rails. Now this might take some time to get used to. You do need a very hot soldering iron to do this, because you're also obviously heating up the rail at the same time. So take your time with it, but the results are definitely worth it. The other thing is, when it comes to powering the frog, we're going to take out this wire over here in the middle. We don't need that, at least that's what was shown to me from somebody who knows better. Peco also supply a wire at the top of the frog so that you can connect another wire, and you can see over here we've connected a red wire over here to this one. This has been taken out and our wires are connected to the track either side here. Now, as I said, this does take a little bit of time to do. You need to take your time cutting things out. You don't want to destroy the sleepers. You just want to be able to cut away the webbing, cut the recesses in with either a file or a sharp modelling knife, get all your wires in, make sure you use flux, otherwise you're going to find that soldering can be a bit of a tricky job. And I also recommend to do this in a warm environment. When we did this particular point over here, it was a rather cold, damp night, and it actually took a little while to get the solder joints to take properly. So do it in a warm environment, or if you're in a garage like I am, bring a heater down, make sure at least you've got some heat in here. It just seemed to not go as well in a cold environment. The next step, and this is where some people get a little bit scared. is we're going to obviously now remove that box. So simply what we do is we just take the top off, it's removable, rip it off, you don't need it anymore, and go in there with the cutters and start cutting off the sleepers. Now, a word of warning here when you're cutting off the sleepers, don't do them all at once. Stagger them and do them individually, and I'll show you what I mean. So this is one of the sets of points I'm working on at the moment, and you can see right here that I've taken the box off, but if you can see here the white plasticard strip underneath, well, I'm going to make sure that this one is done completely. I've super glued it in on the bottom, so now that the rigidity is there, I don't need to add the top in just yet, but now that the rigidity is there with the piece of plasticard, I can now go off and take out the other two as well. I do highly recommend not to take out all three at the same time, because you really will then compromise the rigidity of the point work, and you don't want to do that. So take them apart bit by bit, cut the plasticard to length, super glue them in there, and once dry, move on to the next one. That will still give you a really nice, rigid set of points. Now, you're also going to find after you've done this, because the box is gone and you've actually loosened the tie bar, is your actual point blades now are a lot more flimsy and weak than they used to be. This is where we bring out our soldering iron once again. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to run some solder into the fish plate over here on the set of points. And the whole idea there is to make them really tight so the rails aren't going to move out, because once again, you have lost a lot of the support and strength in the tie bar area over here. Once that's been soldered, the good thing here is you can see that even without that box, there's a lot of free movement in there. These will never come out, and quite frankly, as much as it shocked me to begin with, the results I've seen have been very promising. They work really well on other layouts. And if you just make sure that the solder is really thin in there, so it's not a huge clump of it, it's just running on one side under that fish plate to connect those two rails together, then you're always going to have seamless contact, and it kind of acts as a spring in some ways. So I use tortoise point motors. So when the point motor throws the blades this way, it will stay this way, same as the other way as well. And having this sort of springiness in the points, that will guarantee smooth movement, and it will stay exactly where it's meant to be. When it comes to now replacing the sleepers in the actual point blades itself, there's two options you can do. You can either get yourself some sleepers from some O-gauge FlexiTrack. Now, the good thing about that is you can just cut it to length. It's already detailed with the molded wood grain and so forth on there. Cut it to length, super glue it in on top, and then once it's all been done, you can weather it down, paint it, and so forth. The other thing that you can do is you can use plasticard. Now, this is C-channel plasticard. It's basically the same width as a sleeper, but it hasn't got the actual, it actually hasn't got the wood grain on it. So what you can do, as we've done on one of these ones over here, is you can cut this to length, put it in there, and then put another small thin bit of plasticard on the top and scribe out the actual sleeper detail. So this is a great thing to do if you haven't got any spare sleepers from any existing track work. Either way works really well. I've got one set of points with plasticard, one set of points using the Peco sleepers on top. It doesn't really matter because it looks the part, it's held in place, and like I say, when it's on the board and it's all weathered down, you're not going to tell at all. The last thing that we do, just to make things look a bit more neat in here, is we will take our craft knife or thereabouts, and what we'll do is we'll just make the actual tie bar section here flattened, because the way that the Peco points come, it's sort of a circular mold, and I don't really want to see that, so we're going to flatten that either side. And closer to the time as well, these side parts over here, I might trim them down as well. It just depends on how they look at the same time. And really, that's about it. It's simple, it's not overly complicated, and once you've seen it done and you've done one, it really just is a matter of copy, paste, and repeat. Like I say, it took us about half an hour to do this set of points as far as preparation, doing the work and finishing everything off. But you know, once you've done it once, you get used to it, you just do it again and again and again. So we've now done 2 of these, and there's about 7 left to go, or thereabouts. So I've got my work cut out for me, so it might be another week or 2 before I can start laying track over here on Knotlob. But getting this right now, before the track laying goes down, in my mind is absolutely paramount. Now for added realism, one of the things I'm going to do with my layout, like I did with Newton Grove, is I'm going to put dummy point levers next to all of these turnouts. And over here, I have actually got some yard point levers. These are from Wizard Models. They're the MSc, or Model Singular Engineering. So Wizard Models supplied these over here. And I've got 8 dummy levers, which is going to be fantastic, more than enough. And all I'm going to do there, I'm going to get some sleepers, extend them over here next to the tie bars so that these point levers actually sit on something rigid and they look the part. Because if you look at points in a railway yard, like you can see over here on screen, you'll actually see that those 2 sleepers do stick out so that the point is always in a rigid setting at all times. That plate work is not going to move anywhere. Now, if you want to, depending on the layout that you're building, you can also get some wiring down to mimic the point rotting itself. I'm not too sure if there's companies that actually sort of supply anything like that properly. I'm sure there are. Or you can have a go at doing it yourself. In my particular instance, I might just chuck some fake wire between the point lever and under here, just so it looks like there's something there. These point levers, they are dummies. They're not going to work at all. You probably could find something to motorize them if you wanted, but I can't see the point, and I'm not going to do that here on Knotlob. So that is basically how it's all done. Now, a big thank you to Nikki from Ellis Clark Trains, who basically showed me how to do this, and you'll notice that those gloves and those hands are not mine. I can't exactly do the modeling and film that at the same time, so huge shout out to Nikki for helping me with that and showing me how it's all done. And hopefully I've inspired you to have a go at this yourself. Peco point work is fantastic. I think that what they supply to us as O-gauge modelers is brilliant. It's certainly better than building your own track. I have no desire nor the skills to even learn how to build hand-built tracks. So the fact that we can just buy it from a box, make a few alterations, wire everything up, and start running trains in a short time period is fantastic. There are companies out there, of course, that do hand-build tracks, such as Markway points, and I do have one of their points. It's a 3-way point, and I'm looking forward to that. But that's a little bit different because the copper-clad sleepers are only half the width or half the height of the Peco sleeper, so they need to be, I need an extra layer under there, and they don't come with any form of wiring, so you do need to wire those up. So that's probably a little bit more complicated than just going out and buying a standard Peco points. They're a bit expensive, but they work, and if you basically just take your time to do these alterations for that extra realism, then it is definitely well worth it. And as you can see here, the difference really is, well, completely different. You can see the box here, it really stands out, whereas this one doesn't at all because it's gone. And once this is put onto the layout and bedded down with ballast and weathering and everything else, this is going to look absolutely fantastic. So I really do hope that I have inspired you to have a go. Now, if you've got any questions at all, any comments or anything like that, please comment below. Any questions, please get in touch and I'll answer them as best as I can. I'm no expert on this. As I said, it was Nikki who devised how to do this particular thing like I've just shown you. But now that I know how it's done, if you've got any questions at all, please get in touch with me either on the comments below, or you can find me on Facebook if you search for Newton Grove, and I'll happily have a chat with you there and share ideas and so forth. Right, so things coming up. As I said, I need to finish all the point work before I can start laying track. I'm really looking forward to getting the track down for Newton Grove, so that's going to be something to really look forward to. Do me a favour, hit the subscribe button, smash the like button because your support means the world to me, and I will see you next time on Newton Grove.